Hey YouTube, hey Jehovah's Witnesses. I always had a question, and that question was one of the many. Watchtower Charity, what is Watchtower Charity? Why don't the Jehovah's Witnesses volunteer in soup kitchens and other well-known charities? And of course the answer I always got was it was the same no matter where I went. And that answer was really nicely summed up in a book I've read called 30 Years a Watchtower Slave by William J. Schnell. He was actually one of the people who was in the organization when it was really starting to form into what is now the Jehovah's Witnesses, and a lot of the policies and procedures that go on in the Kingdom Hall and in Bethel, he was part of those. So back to the charity, he had the same question too. A lot of people have that question. So the reason that witnesses don't do charity is because this is what's important to them. Their work of preaching, by going house to house, by bringing people to their meetings in Kingdom Halls, and by selling their magazines. This to them is more valid than any in all the charity practiced by organized Christendom. It does not bother them that they practice in the very way the Pharisees did, which manner Jesus plainly and strongly condemned. They certainly perform their acts of charity openly. They report to the Watchtower Society every hour they spend in doing this work. The actual numbers of books they place, the number of back calls, actually it's return visits these days, but back then they called them back calls, and the book studies they hold in people's houses. They stand on street corners to be seen of men. They want to be seen doing their charitable work. They don't want to blend in with the rest of society. And once again, the title of this book is called 30 Years a Watchtower Slave. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. They devote hourly meetings called service meetings to the open discussion of what they contend to be charitable works. And they eagerly expect to be rewarded openly by appointments as servants, or by a good standing in the congregation and with the society. That's what's important to the Jehovah's Witnesses. But that's not what was important to Jesus. Why don't we just read what the Bible says about that? We're going to be looking in chapter 14 of the book Matthew. Okay, Matthew 14, verses 14 through 20. Now, when he came forth, he saw a great crowd, and he felt pity for them, and he cured their sick ones. But when evening fell, his disciples came to him and said, "The place is lonely, and the hour is already far advanced. Send the crowds away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves something to eat." However, Jesus said to them, "They do not have to leave. You give them something to eat." They said to him, "We have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes." He said, "Bring them here to me." Next, he commanded the crowds to recline on the grass, and took the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and looking up into heaven, he said a blessing. After breaking the loaves, he distributed them to the disciples. The disciples in turn to the crowds. So all ate and were satisfied, and they took up the surplus of fragments, 12 baskets full. So we can see by reading this account that Jesus was not too good to do charitable works. Jesus, the perfect, flawless man, sent here for us sinners, God's Son who resided in heaven with his Father, took pity on the afflicted ones and the ones with less. Jesus cured their diseases, and you, Jehovah's Witnesses, are telling me that you're better than that? You're better than Jesus? And Jesus fed people. That wasn't the only occasion that he provided food. It's really pathetic if you sit and think about it. I mean, really, what you're saying is that you're just too good to help others in their real times of need. I'm not talking about the ones that you help selectively in the congregation who you deem worthy of your contributions. But, next time you're standing outside the mission, why don't you think about, the fact that when you recruit this person, you're going to be helping them be transformed into a self-righteous, arrogant, better-than-thou, rank-and-file watchtower peddler like yourself.